For the next step, we're going to go ahead and actually start up the Starbased game. So again, if you come to play.staratlas.com or go to the main StarAtlas page and hit play game, you'll actually come to this screen. This is the first one at the top here. There's also a link over here on Sage Labs there. So we'll go ahead and just play it. So we'll open up another web browser window. This one is at based.staratlas.com, and you can just type that in. In the future, you don't have to go through those screens. So when you first log in, you will have to go through the process of creating a profile within the game, and we'll go through those steps next. So to get started creating a profile, just click your Connect Wallet. So welcome you to there. Again, it warns you again, this is early access, but we want to go ahead and launch game. Do have to accept and look at the terms of service and the privacy policy. And then you connect your wallet. In this case, again, we're using the Phantom wallet. So it says it's connecting. We do have this option for Atlas Prime. I'll go ahead and let you read through this. At this point, I'm going to say no to it just because I want to show you the basic levels of getting in. There are definitely pros to using Atlas Prime. So, but you can always turn it on and off at any time. But just to simplify this setting up the profile one, we'll just go ahead and say no thanks at this point. Okay, to begin with, you do need to select one of your factions. So you do have to pick between the three. I'll reference if you're interested in which one of those are. If you go back to your the main website, and when you initially set up your faction, you can learn more information about that. So I'm going to go ahead and just for this one, go ahead and put Mud. You do get the option to name your character, so you can personalize them with a unique name, enter the name below you like. If you don't choose a name, they're going to pick one for you. So I'm just going to call this one the same name I gave to my wallet, which was Demo2. Okay, and then go ahead and click the Create Character. And again, because you're actually placing all this information on the blockchain, there will be a transaction request that is needed. So the Phantom wallet should appear, and you can go ahead and select that, complete that transaction. So you'll see that there is a small Sol fee for this and the normal network fee. So we'll go ahead and hit confirm. And this does happen from time to time within the Starbase. The interface doesn't seem to change or do anything like that. If that is the case, the best thing to do is just hit the refresh button within your web browser, and that'll basically reroll the page. Okay, once the web page appears to load, go ahead and click your Connect Wallet button. Go ahead and check from your available wallets, in this case Phantom. Continue. And we'll see our ability to select the character. So we go ahead and do the drop down, and there is our Demo2 one. Again, if you have issues moving forward like I'm having, go ahead and do another refresh. Go ahead and connect your wallet. And select your character from the drop down. Unfortunately, it still hasn't loaded in the profile we created. This unfortunately does happen from time to time, depending on different things like blockchain congestion or even some of the StarAtlas components. So unfortunately, sometimes you just have to be patient and come back later. Again, part of the purpose of this tutorial series, this guide, is to show you different things that might just take longer. And unfortunately, because this is a pre-alpha early release game, some things just don't work. My hunch is this is a blockchain issue just at the moment that I'm recording this. So I'm going to actually stop the recording now and come back at a later date, and we'll continue through with the user creation. So, of course, no time passed for you, but much time passed for me. In fact, I waited an entire day to see if things work better. So let's go ahead now and see if we can get back into starting the Sage Labs Starbased game. I'm just going to start off from the beginning. So again, very abrupt, but I would prefer to show you kind of the whole process. So again, if we were on the main website, we'd click the Play Star Atlas banner, or again, we could type in base.staratlas.com. As you recall, just moments ago, we had the thing where we created our profile. We then had some issues. We refreshed. We were allowed to select it and connect the wall and things like that. Now everything seems to be functioning better. We could still click the wallet here to connect, but if we actually give it a couple seconds, we'll see that we automatically directly went in. So again, the previous parts, just before this, the video was showing us how we created the profile. Didn't work, then we selected it. Once it gets selected and your wallet's there, it should just auto log you in here. So we see that our user up here is demo 2. So before we get into too much more, I want to just go through kind of this interface so you kind of see what you're at. So the first thing is, this is kind of a map with different star bases. So each one of these kind of yellow squares, here's a star base. If you actually take your mouse and if you have a scroll wheel, you actually scroll out, you'll see that the map actually gets smaller because you're scrolling out further. And if we go all the way to the end, we'll kind of see that it's basically a rectangle. And we were just down into here. So if we zoom back in, we'll see that the words get clearer. We'll actually see that they each have a name. So in this case, mud. CSS, that's for the mud faction, and the CSS is the central space station. Again, that's a star base. Then there are these other star bases, each one of these squares. This one happens to be called mud 4, mud 3, 5, 2, and then there's something called MRZ-2. That stands for medium risk zone. Basically, there are a whole bunch of things, and if we kind of use the mouse to hold down and kind of pan the window, we'll actually see different things here. So basically the best way to think about this is there are 3 factions. The mud faction is kind of down in the bottom of the map. If we go over here, kind of going to the upper left, we will see the Oni faction. I actually clicked on a icon or a square, and that's why this came up. So I'm just going to turn that off. I was going to show you that in a second. But again, if we keep scrolling without clicking, we go over to the upper right, we'll start seeing ones that have USTUR. So again, we happened to pick the mud faction when we were creating this, so we'll go back down to the mud area. Okay, there's the mud CSS, and we'll scroll in there. Okay, so that's how you kind of move around the map. Each one of these squares is basically one unit of movement within the Starbased game. We'll get into movement in a second. But anyways, here's where clicking happens. So if you click on just a random square, this comes up, and you see it says neutral sector, undiscovered sector, and then it gives the coordinates. So this coordinate of that is, and again, if you vaguely remember algebra, right? Algebra, I think. Geometry? No, algebra. This is -2 on the x-axis, -38 on the y-axis. So somewhere in the middle is 0, 0. But again, there's not much here. But if on the other hand, we click on the space station that's called the Mud Central Space Station, we'll actually see a whole bunch more information occur. In this case, commands pop up. Okay, they're finally loaded, and so we'll go through those later on. But again, if you click on either the Mud Central Space Station or another space station, you'll actually get your Starbased controls. So that kind of comes up here. Again, you can always close it. Just as an aside, each one of these Starbases does have some lore. So if you click on the lore button here, you'll actually get information about kind of the lore related to it. So great part of learning more about the Star Atlas story. Okay, so we'll close that back up. So again, we have the full screen. We do have some different buttons over here. So one is called Show Overview. If we turn that on, we get this information about our crafting processes and a sector survey. Again, those don't make any sense right now, but I just want to kind of show you what that is. If we click on Show All Fleets, we'll actually see a whole bunch more information. And these are all the other fleets being moved around in the game. So I'm going to actually scroll in a little bit closer so you can kind of see. So you'll see different arrows, colors. I'm hovering over one, and it's actually showing that, hey, this one's subwarping Fimble Mamba X. It's going from, looks like the Central Space Station over to Mud 5. And because this is all on the blockchain, again, we can actually see it. So if I click it again, then it pops up on that one. We can actually see the wallet that owns it, how much fuel's in the fuel tank, and that. So because this is all on the blockchain, it's all public data, and you can kind of see that. So that's what this Show All Fleets does. Now, again, a little bit overwhelming, so we're going to just go ahead and turn that back off. Up at the top, there are a few things that's interesting to note. One is the version number. Occasionally, if you're in the Star Atlas Discord, they'll talk about version numbers and bug fixes and things like that, so that's helpful. This is our account and picture, but if you drop down, there are the ability, as we do different things, we can earn license, XP, or experience, and those will actually start accumulating as we do things, so we'll see that. Over here, we'll actually see what our total XP is and something called LP, which stands for loyalty points. And then lastly, there is kind of a little bit of information here that there's a new feature for Atlas Prime, and you can now enable it, but we have the gear icon here, and if we drop that down, we'll actually see that we have some options to change different settings there. So we'll see things that are inactive. We can actually manage different section settings. Again, most of this is kind of more advanced things, and again, I'm just going to try to show you the beginning parts of things here. And again, you can disconnect or actually go out and read the change log. So we'll go ahead and close that down. So anyways, that's just a quick overview of the tutorial, of the user interface. Again, we'll get into individual things using these commands here when we're in the Starbase. The last thing to mention is the Central Space Station is the only place you can take resources in and out from your wallet and other parts of the game. So basically think of it as your center point for the different things. So that's it. Again, we started the game, we created our profile, we looked around a little bit at the user interface, and again, we just turned off the Atlas Prime for this kind of tutorial.